Why is it that only certain people survive a narcissist, and it's rarely who you expect? The strongest often break trying to fight them. Those with clear boundaries usually leave before the deeper lesson even begins. Jung said that the unconscious makes choices long before the mind understands. A narcissist doesn't attach randomly. They fixate on a specific nervous system, a specific history of endurance that fits their pattern, like a key fitting a lock. But here's the part most people miss. The survivor isn't the most confident or self-aware. The survivor has a unique ability to turn the narcissist's poison into their own power. You weren't chosen as a victim, but as someone being initiated into a harsh awakening. Stay with this, because the very trait that drew them to you is the weapon that will eventually free you. You were chosen because your childhood trained you to endure what others would reject. A narcissist doesn't pick a partner for love or connection. They pick based on utility, looking for someone who can handle emotional labor. When they scan a room or scroll through an app, they aren't searching for the richest or most attractive person. They seek someone like you. But why you? You gave off subtle, unconscious signals showing you carry old, unhealed wounds, particularly the wounds of the caretaker. Jung said the unconscious projects itself through behavior. What seems like kindness or attentiveness is, to them, a sign that you prioritize others' needs over your own, a habit often formed in childhood. If you grew up around emotionally immature or volatile adults, you learned that survival meant being useful. You read the room, gauged moods, and adjusted your behavior to manage their emotions. If they were angry, you stayed quiet. If sad, you became the helper or therapist. This survival response, known as Fing, involves suppressing your own fight-or-flight instincts to please and manage threats. You learn to absorb chaos and neutralize it. Imagine a child watching their mother slam drawers. While a sibling runs away, this child steps forward, offering help and jokes to calm the mood. At 8, they already understood that managing others' emotions was safety. Decades later, the narcissist instantly sees that instinct in you. This wound shows up later in life in subtle ways. On a first date, if the waiter makes a mistake or your partner says something sharp, most people would feel uncomfortable or judge it as wrong. You, however, try to understand. You make excuses, change the subject, and take responsibility for smoothing the situation. The narcissist watches this and immediately knows they found their target. They see that you don't hold them accountable. You work to earn their approval even when they don't deserve it. You're used to walking on eggshells. They chose you because they needed a container for their shame and chaos. The narcissist carries deep internal shame but refuses to feel it. They need someone to feel it for them, to worry, to cry, to solve problems. You were selected because you can endure discomfort. You can go weeks without your needs met and still stay. You can be insulted, ignored, or dismissed and still try to connect. To them, it doesn't look like love. It looks like convenience. What they never realize is that the same wound that made you easy to use is the same wound that later makes you unbreakable. Your endurance wasn't weakness, it was hidden armor. They chose you for your wound, but you survived them because of your strength. Here's the hard truth. Your empathy, patience, and kindness were weaponized. These beautiful traits can be dangerous without boundaries. The narcissist didn't fall in love with your soul. They fell in love with your trauma response. They saw someone who would stay, no matter how bad it got, because you believed love meant suffering. Recognizing this is the first step to breaking the pattern. It's not a badge of honor. It's a sign you're replaying old wounds. You try to save them as you wished you could have saved your parents. The narcissist wants you unaware, thinking you're just nice, but you were trained to put others first, even when it hurts. This is why only certain people survive a narcissist. Not the strongest, but those conditioned to carry what would have broken anyone else. If something inside you stirred while hearing this, that old truth surfacing, join a community built on awareness, insight, and transformation that lasts. The next reason survivors stay is hidden in biology, the way danger can feel familiar. You stayed because your nervous system mistook their chaos for home. You don't stay because you are naive or enjoy pain. You stay because your body interprets the pain as familiar. The early intensity felt magical, but it was nervous system recognition, not soul connection. Childhood experiences wired chaos into your idea of love. Your nervous system recognizes the pattern. It thinks, I know this game. I know how this works. The anxiety in your stomach, the nervous butterflies, it isn't excitement, it's fear. But because you've been taught to confuse fear with love, you move toward it instead of running away. It starts quietly, almost unnoticed. You're seeing someone new. For weeks, they text constantly, send songs, tell you that you're amazing. Your brain is flooded with dopamine. Then one day, they disappear for hours or respond coldly. A securely attached person would feel turned off or judge this behavior. You, however, feel activated, restless, and anxious, trying to smooth things over. You chase their attention, hoping to regain their warmth. The narcissist understands this instinctively. They use a reward system that comes and goes, what psychology calls intermittent reinforcement. It's the most addictive form of conditioning, like gambling. A slot machine that pays out randomly keeps you hooked. The narcissist gives intense affection, followed by coldness or withdrawal. You stay, waiting for the next win. You tell yourself the good version is real and the bad version is temporary. Jung called this the compulsion to repeat, a drive to revisit the source of original trauma to fix it. You project childhood needs onto them, hoping the unavailable person will finally become available. You're in a relationship with your past as much as with them. This is why leaving feels impossible even when you know the truth. Your mind knows they lie, but your body is chemically addicted to stress and relief. Healthy relationships feel boring because they lack this intensity. What feels like passion is actually dysregulation. The magnetic pull isn't destiny, it's a glitch in your survival programming. You're trying to get water from a stone because you were taught stones are the only source. The narcissist isn't your soulmate. They fit perfectly into your childhood emptiness, but they don't heal it, they widen it. Accepting that this familiarity is a warning is the first step to breaking the spell. Your anxiety is your body telling you to leave, not stay. Awakening starts when your survival instinct stops protecting the narcissist and starts protecting you. This switch changes everything. Many believe the narcissist's goal is to destroy you. They do drain you, but they rely on your survival. They want you functional enough to serve them, but weak enough to stay. They misjudge the endurance they exploited, assuming you'll tolerate abuse forever. But for the person who survives a narcissist, there's a flaw in that assumption. There comes a moment when the survival mechanism shifts, a quiet awakening. It might happen in a small moment, like driving home, feeling deep exhaustion, no tears, no fear, just the realization, I cannot do this anymore. Awakening doesn't usually happen in fights. It comes in silence, like staring at someone who has controlled your emotions for years and seeing them as small, ordinary. Jung called this individuation, the journey to becoming your true self, often requiring the false self to break down. In a narcissistic relationship, you see the disintegration clearly. You've tried everything: perfection, caretaking, therapy, and nothing works. The part of you that needed their validation dies. You realize they will never truly see you. Their promises are just words to buy more time. The fear of losing them disappears, replaced by a deeper realization. Losing yourself is the only loss you cannot accept. This shift shows itself in everyday moments. It's a Friday night, and they start a familiar argument, accusing you of being selfish for wanting to visit family. In the past, you would have engaged, defended yourself, or canceled plans to please them. Now, something is different. You hear their words without reacting. You see their anger without fear. You notice the manipulation. They want to make you feel guilty, so you stay. But this time, you see the mechanism clearly, like observing the gears of a clock. You respond calmly, I understand how you feel, and continue packing your bag. This is the moment you move from prey to observer. The narcissist relies on your emotional reaction to feel powerful. When you stop reacting, you disconnect from their reality. You have stepped out of the game. This awakening often comes with deep depression or a flat emotional state. Don't fear this. Jung taught that depression can be a necessary journey into the unconscious. Your psyche is forcing you to stop. You are not broken. You are exhausted from living a lie, trying to make a sick person healthy, and ignoring your own intuition. When you finally admit, I cannot live like this anymore, it is not defeat. It is sovereignty. You see that the cost of the relationship is higher than its value. You realize you have always been alone in it, and that realization sets you free. The survivor survives because they see the relationship as an anchor, not a lifeline. Your shift shakes the narcissist because their whole reality relies on your emotional participation. When you stop being part of the drama and start observing it, the balance of power changes. They never needed your love. They needed your energy. This energy, called narcissistic supply, can be positive like admiration and affection, or negative like anger and frustration. Both forms feed their unstable self-esteem. If they can make you smile, they feel strong. If they make you cry or scream, they feel even stronger. Your reactions prove their control, but once you stop reacting and enter neutrality, their control collapses. You exist calmly, unbothered, and this loss of energy is devastating to them. The narcissist senses your withdrawal immediately. Because they cannot regulate themselves, they try predictable tactics to force a reaction. First comes seduction, known as hoovering. They act like the charming person you first fell for, sweet, attentive, apologetic, or even giving gifts. They want to erase the past abuse and pull you back into compliance. But now you see it for what it is, a transaction, a bribe to regain control. If seduction fails, they move to guilt, acting like the victim, claiming you've changed or abandoned them. They might fake illness or crisis to trigger your empathy, but the awakened observer sees through this performance. If guilt doesn't work, they use rage. They attack your character, appearance, or competence, trying to provoke a fight. A fight shows they still have influence over you. But you remain calm and factual, breaking their illusion of power. When direct tactics fail, they shift to indirect strategies. The first is triangulation, bringing in a third person to provoke jealousy or insecurity. This could be a new lover, ex, or even a friend. They try to make you compete for attention, to make you anxious and insecure, but when you are awake, you refuse to compete. You see these tactics reveal their own insecurity, not your worth. The second and most painful tool is the smear campaign. When they sense losing control, they panic that you might expose them. So, they attack your reputation, spreading lies to friends, family, or colleagues. They twist the truth and accuse you of what they themselves are guilty of. If abusive, they label you unstable. If unfaithful, they claim you are paranoid or controlling. This is classic Jungian projection. They confess their sins by blaming you. You see through the distortion, understanding that their attacks reflect their inner fear and emptiness. Your neutrality makes these attacks powerless, as their tactics are revealed for what they truly are. The narcissist tries to control the story so that if you ever speak the truth, no one will believe you. This feels incredibly unfair. You might feel the urge to defend yourself, show the messages, or prove you aren't the crazy one. But engaging is exactly what they want. If you react, you look chaotic, exactly like the unstable person they described. The narcissist wants your anger, your public reaction, so they can point at you and say, "See, I told you they were crazy." The way to win a smear campaign is to rise above it. Live with integrity. The people who truly know you will see the truth. Those who believe the lies were never your real friends or aren't worth your energy. This shift from reacting to attacks to ignoring their manipulation is the ultimate sign of freedom. You no longer need their validation or the approval of those they have manipulated. You are standing in your own reality. Narcissists rely on external feedback to know who they are. Without your reactions reflecting a strong image back, they begin to unravel psychologically. You are the only type of person who can trigger this because you know them well enough to see through all layers of their mask. Your refusal to play ends the game. You don't need to win, you just stop participating. For a narcissist, being ignored is a fate worse than death. Silence becomes a weapon when it no longer feeds their control. This is the first silence they cannot manipulate. Many think silence is passive. They believe that not speaking means accepting abuse. But in surviving a narcissist, silence is active. It is strategic. Your words never worked because the narcissist collected information, not connection. Sharing your feelings gave them the blueprint to hurt and control you. Explaining why something upset you showed them which buttons to push. Communication was never intimacy, it was data for them. Now, your strategy changes. You stop trying to be understood. You stop trying to be heard. You contain your emotions completely. This is more than just acting bored. It's about closing the borders of your mind. The narcissist has a huge shadow full of shame, insecurity, and emptiness. They cannot face themselves, so they use you to distract from their inner voice. They need you to be loud, emotional, and reactive. Your reactions protect them from their own reality. When you go silent, you remove that shield. Your neutrality forces them to confront their inner world, the one they've avoided. Sitting quietly, scrolling your phone, not reacting, you make them face the internal chaos they've run from. Boredom, fear, and anxiety rise in the absence of your energy. Implementing this requires a shift. You do not ignore them to provoke. They become uninteresting. Your voice is flat, your answer's neutral. When they attack, you say, "I hear your opinion." When they bring up past arguments, you say, "I have nothing new to add." When asked what you're thinking or feeling, you answer factually, without emotion. You keep your thoughts, plans, and feelings locked inside. You are physically present, but psychologically absent. This triggers paranoia in the narcissist. They project their own deceit onto you. They accuse, demand proof, or question your silence. They are terrified of losing control. Your silence frustrates them, but it also protects and heals you. True silence also ends the internal battle. Your mind no longer replays insults, plans, arguments, or rents space to them. You redirect your attention back to your life. This is where Jung's concept of the self becomes vital. The self holds our identity and wisdom. The narcissist's noise drowned out your intuition. In silence, you hear yourself again. You remember who you were before caretaking, the things you enjoyed, your values. Silence pulls your scattered energy back. You rebuild your mental structure. At first, you may feel guilt or think you are being cold or cruel. The narcissist may claim your silence is abuse, but protecting your mind is not cruelty. Boundaries are not abuse. They are necessary for survival. You are not doing this to punish them. You are doing this to survive. You are taking back your right to have a private inner world. You are building a wall they cannot cross. They can scream, cry, or throw insults at it, but they cannot break through. Silence is the one argument they cannot win. You cannot be gaslit for silence. You cannot misinterpret words that were never spoken. By removing your words, you remove their weapons. You become a mirror that shows back only their behavior. And because they cannot face what they see, they eventually stop trying. You are no longer a character in their story. You are the author of your own. The narcissist never expects your exit because they confuse endurance with dependence. They see your silence as surrender, not separation. This mistake makes your departure hit harder and deeper than anything they've ever faced. By the time you leave, you've already said goodbye inside yourself. Their ego assumes your patience means you will never go. But for the survivor, patience is camouflage for a heart quietly detaching. Walking away feels like an ambush, quiet, clean, and inevitable. Even while pulling away, the narcissist believes you will stay. They interpret your silence as acceptance, never realizing that the real breakup happens long before the physical separation. The survivor says goodbye internally, often during simple daily moments, washing dishes, sitting beside them, quietly grieving the person they thought they were. You mourn the future you imagined, the love you hoped for, and process anger in private. This internal work untangles your nervous system from theirs, thread by thread. When the day comes to leave, the decision is calm, not impulsive. There is no panic, only certainty. You step off the platform of their control. The narcissist is blindsided, shocked that someone they thought permanent has autonomy. Their grandiosity is shattered because they never saw you as separate. They see you as an extension of themselves, not as a full person with your own needs. Leaving feels to them like an amputation, a part of themselves ripped away. This is why their reaction is extreme. They aren't fighting for love. They are trying to regain control to feel whole. They want to prove they can make you return, but the survivor doesn't come back. Leaving is not to get revenge or a reaction. You leave because you've outgrown the cage and realized the door was never locked. The days after leaving are critical because your brain tries to play tricks, remembering only the good moments. This is fading effect bias, making the past seem better than it was. You might feel urges to reach out, thinking maybe you were too harsh or they have changed. That voice is not intuition, it's withdrawal. You are breaking a biochemical addiction to intermittent reinforcement. The narcissist might send a ping, a small message or call to test if you respond. They want to see if they still have access to your attention, but the survivor does not engage. You do not negotiate, thank them, or reply. You leave them with the one thing they cannot handle: silence. Closure doesn't come from them, it comes from yourself. Saying, "I know what happened, I know it was real, and I deserve better," is enough. Leaving without argument asserts your sovereignty. Jung called separating from the collective essential to becoming an individual. In a toxic relationship, you and the narcissist created a shared illusion. Leaving is extreme individuation. You reclaim your identity. You are no longer we. You leave them to face their consequences, but you do not stay to watch or check on them. You do not track their social media or ask about them through mutual friends. You have taken back your life. Your silence, your exit, and your refusal to give them the power to manipulate you is the ultimate demonstration of freedom. You understand now that their fate is no longer your responsibility. You simply turn away and walk toward your own life. You leave them in the past, stuck in their cycle with someone else, while you move forward into a future that belongs entirely to you. This is the moment the narcissist sees a frightening truth. The only person who could survive them is the one who ultimately leaves them. The journey began by asking why only one type of person survives a narcissist. We have traveled from the childhood wounds that made you vulnerable to the biological pull that kept you trapped, to the silent awakening that finally set you free. So, who is this person? Who is the survivor? It is you. But not the version of you that thinks of yourself as a victim or someone foolish who stayed too long. You are the wounded healer. You are the alchemist. You are the one who was thrown into the fire and did not burn, but instead burned away everything that was false. The relationship was a cruel, painful teacher, but it taught you something priceless. You learned that your worth cannot depend on anyone else's approval. You learned that your empathy must be protected by strong boundaries. You learned that the only person who can truly save you is yourself. You survive because you have a strength the narcissist will never know. They are fragile, dependent on the praise of others to feel whole. You are solid. You faced the darkness in them and in yourself, and you are still standing. Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." The narcissist is what happened to you, but the survivor, the awakened, sovereign, powerful person you are becoming, is what you choose to be. Do not let your years with them define you as broken. Let those years define you as tested. You passed the test. You graduated from the school of pain. Now it is time to build a life based on joy. You were not born to just survive love. You were born to be loved in a way that does not ask you to diminish yourself. But to reach that love, you first had to find yourself. And now that you have, the rest of your life begins. If you are ready to continue, click on the next video. Your path toward full sovereignty, freedom, and power is only just beginning. Surviving a narcissist is less about strength or intelligence and more about endurance, intuition, and the ability to transform pain into personal power. Narcissists target people whose emotional wiring matches their needs, often someone who grew up managing chaos, learning to absorb emotions and prioritize others over themselves. This early conditioning teaches the survivor to tolerate extremes, to read moods, and to adapt to volatile environments. It's not weakness. It's a finely honed skill that makes them both a target and eventually the only person able to break free while remaining whole. The relationship with a narcissist exploits this capacity for endurance. They use charm, affection, and attention as hooks, followed by withdrawal and subtle manipulation, creating a cycle of intermittent reinforcement that tricks the nervous system into craving the highs and tolerating the lows. Survivors stay because their nervous system interprets this chaos as familiar, even comforting, due to early life experiences. Over time, this pattern creates a chemical addiction to the stress relief cycle, making it extremely difficult to leave. The awareness that fear and anxiety were misread as love becomes a turning point. The awakening happens when the survivor stops trying to fix or manage the narcissist and instead protects their own well-being. They recognize the energy they were giving, the emotional labor, the constant attention, was what fueled the narcissist's control. By stepping back, by practicing neutrality and silence, the survivor removes the supply that the narcissist depends on. This is not passive, it's active reclamation of power. The narcissist may attempt seduction, guilt, rage, triangulation, or smear campaigns. But the survivor sees through it all and remains unreactive. Silence becomes a weapon, a form of protection, and a method to rebuild the self. The survivor's power grows as they reclaim their autonomy. Leaving the narcissist is often the final act, but it is preceded by a long process of internal separation. Grieving the imagined relationship, letting go of expectations, and breaking biochemical attachments to the cycle of abuse. The narcissist experiences shock, not because of anger or betrayal, but because the survivor's departure violates their perception of control. They cannot comprehend that someone they viewed as an extension of themselves has become independent. The survivor's escape is inevitable once they recognize that their patience was camouflage for detachment. Ultimately, surviving a narcissist is about transforming trauma into personal sovereignty. The lessons are painful but invaluable. Your worth is self-determined, empathy requires boundaries, and love should never ask you to diminish yourself. By the time a survivor leaves, they have grown into an awakened, sovereign individual. They no longer rely on validation from the narcissist or anyone manipulated by them. Freedom comes from the quiet, deliberate choice to protect oneself, reclaim energy, and move into a life of self-defined joy. The journey teaches resilience, discernment, and the power to rebuild life on your own terms.